Okay, today I'm going to be talking about Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. I don't know if you are clicking on his video or not, listening. So I'm going to talk about who Gregor Samsa was. Of course, I am reading off a little script I made so I don't get lost in track or forget my words. I have a problem doing that. I need to start memorizing. But Gregor Samsa was an employee trying to pay off his family's debt to a person that they owed. So immediately we know he's a worker, and in the introduction we understand that he's kind of, I guess, shocked that he woke up late for work. Not sure why he thought of that in the first place, but I guess you can say he lost his humanity from being brainwashed and isolated into labor, from labor to pay off his family's debt. And of course, we're going to be talking about my thought on the book. So through the book, we understand that the family held a dependence on Gregor to bring in the money, of course. But once he turned into a bug, we see that the dependence slowly fade as the family found their purpose and worth by getting jobs, doing something. You know, like in one of the events that happened was they rented out a room to two guys just to make some money. It was kind of, I don't know, it was pretty weird. But yeah, when the family found their worth and purpose, we get to see that Gregor is kind of treated, or Gregor the bug now was kind of treated like an anchor or a pest in some way that was holding the family back. And they grew more irritated and killed them off. The ending was really messed up because Gregor let himself die. He didn't move his body. He let an apple rot on his back. The whole ending is kind of, it's fucking tragic to me. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about Franz Kafka now. A little context into who he was. Many people believed his work landed into absurdism or existentialism because his work was really negative in some way. You know, it isn't all roses or lovey-dovey, not like any stoicism stuff. So who Franz Kafka was, he was a writer born during the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. Now, I'm not going to go too in-depth into who he really was, but he was regarded as a major, just forget about that. He was regarded as a major figure for 20th century literature. And as he was a writer, he held a day job at insurance. And sadly, he did pass away at age 40 due to tuberculosis. Now, if you don't know what tuberculosis is, you could look it up. Of course, I don't have the exact description of what tuberculosis is, but on his deathbed, he asked one of his friends to burn 90% of his work. Fortunately enough, his friend didn't. And that is why we have some masterpieces that he wrote today. One of the vocab words from Franz Kafka is Kafkaske. I think I'm saying it right. I am not sure again. Sorry for my pronunciation of such words. But what this vocab is, it is used in literary and philosophical contexts to describe the senseless, disorienting, and menacingly complex situations. In other words, entrapped in absurd situations and having the inability to break free. Like what Gregor is now, he is a bug, and he's really stiff in his movements. I understood in the book where he kind of talks about having the figure of a bug really putting pain into his body. I thought being a bug would be great, you know? Like if I was a bug, I would probably be a spider. Be Spider-Man, like literally. Not figuratively, but literally. I feel like the worst bug to be would probably be a dung beetle. Or I would be like a spider or a wasp. That would be pretty cool. But I feel like the worst bug would probably be a worm. A worm, because if you haven't seen the latest season of The Boys, one of the characters has the power of a worm and he eats through soil and it comes out from the wrong spots. Anyway, what was Kafka's ideas? His beliefs? His ideas about existence for humans is considered a challenge for some philosophical ideas. As the book is, Gregor Samsa is a character despite facing an impossible transformation, struggles to overcome the self and assert the will to power, into reshaping himself to realize his human existence. And yeah, that is really true, because Gregor Samsa didn't do anything to put power. He just let things be. He let his family kill him. He knew the door was locked. He knew the time was coming. And he didn't do anything. And that is kind of mind-boggling. You know, I was befuddled when I was listening to that. Additionally, the social norms and ideas played a significant role in shaping his character. Into what is this relatable into Franklin Nietzsche's idea? Well, his concept of the conflict between personal goals and social expectations, challenging the general societal morality of the narrative, helped frame Gregor's determination of will to power to assert his human existence. I know I messed up on some words. I'm sorry, but my mind is like through the place right now. I can't really focus on what I'm reading. So now we are left with the understanding of what metamorphosis is. We are left with the understanding with what the metamorphosis is. Sorry, I'm messing up, but it is the exploration of human existence, bringing us to reflect the complexities of life's difficulties, of individualism, and the relationship between societal constraints and individual ambitions. Now, for a quote to end off the video is a little quote from the book, of course. I cannot make you understand. I cannot make anyone understand what is happening inside me. I cannot even explain it to myself. The quote plays a significant part into explaining the internal struggles that are impossible to articulate and understand to oneself. That quote puts an emphasis onto depression and eternal struggles. Now, let me see if I still have anything more left to say. No. But I'm gonna say something extra. The ending into him dying with an apple on his back and him not doing anything into stopping his own death is saddening. I can't say. I have a question. I forgot. That is why I didn't want to end the video. I'm gonna ask you a quick question. You can answer it in the comments. You can answer it in your head, anywhere. Do you think from this rejection is due to his horrendous form into turning into a bug and looking despicable? Or the fact that he is no longer useful? The fact that the family can no longer hold this dependence on him and no longer see him as the person he was? Because in the book, the family is really arguing and trying to distinguish the fact that is the bug Gregor or is the bug trying to be like Gregor? Because Gregor did turn into the bug, but they kind of thought about, is he the same Gregor that they're looking at? Or is he just I guess you can say, skinwalker? Now, I know I really messed up in some pronunciations. Like I said, my mind is to the place right now. I can't really think. But yeah, I know I'm keeping my word. I'm probably gonna make videos soon, possibly in the next week or two. I'm currently reading The Devil's Highway right now. I am 160 pages in of 220. And I can consider making other videos if you guys would want me to, about debates, comic debates, or anything. So yeah, this is the resolution. You guys can skip this, but yeah, thank you for watching the video.